psychological studies could be done on people like us, I think.
I think they have. I've seen some serial killer like handwriting analysis, and I'm like, I'd
Oh
rather
no.
not know. Yeah. Why don't we start talking about writing spaces? I know we've talked about this before. We've talked about our primary writing space, but what about away spaces?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about where do you go to write, or where do you find yourself writing, or where are spaces that are conducive to writing that aren't necessarily your home office?
It's a hard question for me to answer because I don't do a lot of writing. I don't do a lot of intentional writing out. I do a lot of kind of like, oh, I have a computer. Like here's the thing I want to do. I'll write while I'm doing that. Not, I want to write. Where should I go to write this thing?
Okay. Well, let's talk about that because I think I know you used to commute quite a bit by train.
I did. So when I was in Chicago, I would write a lot on the Metro because I lived in a near suburb of Chicago, and I would write on the train. That was great. It was quiet. The Metro is a quiet train. It's not the L. It's a very quiet, very distinguished kind of place. And that was really good. And so that turned out to be one of my favorite places to write, which I would never have expected in a million years.
Why is that? Why was it surprising?
It feels to me like if I'm thinking about writing on a train, it feels cramped. I don't like feeling cramped. I'm a little claustrophobic. I just, and I don't like people around like close enough to see what I'm working on. There's something I've never liked people looking at my screen, even if it's very, and it always is very, pure content that I'm looking at. There's something about just having people close enough to see it. It makes me feel like this is actually mine. So please don't look at this. So all these reasons.
Have the smallest handwriting. I write impossibly small, and as I'm getting older, it's almost too small for me to see myself. But it's the same reason even in school, I would write so small that people next to me couldn't.
So you would write
what I was writing. No, I wouldn't cover it up like that, but I would just write. I would write so impossibly small they could never make out what I was writing.
It's interesting you say that because actually, now that I think about it, that's my version of that is I write so messily, and part of that is just because like my brain is bad, I guess. But also, I have thought about this before, like if I can take notes in a way that I can decipher them, almost like my own shorthand, but no one else can, it's hiding it from them so they can't see what I'm writing. I don't know. There's some psychological studies could be done on people like us, I think.
I think they have. I've seen some serial killer like handwriting analysis, and I'm like, I'd rather not know. Yeah.
What's your middle name? You're going to need to know it. We're all going to need to know your middle name. 3 names for serial killers.
I don't have one.
Is that true?
No, I've got one. I don't like.
I do know 2 people with no middle names, and it's very strange. Anyway, but so on the train, I actually liked it a lot. Like the seats are, comfortable enough, and like everyone's doing their own thing. Everyone's got their AirPods in, everyone's zoned out, and it's just like a quiet 20 minutes where you could just write. And there's no internet, right? If I don't connect to my hotspot, there's no internet. There's nothing popping up on my screen. Like it's actually a really kind of insular time for me to write, which I need. I think I have undiagnosed ADHD is my best guess. And I find that I write better in situations where I'm forced to not be able to access the internet.
So do you, when you sit down to write, do you use a program that does block the internet or block anything like that?
No, because I don't want to. And I know I should, but I like so much, being able to go off. And also I do a lot of research is the wrong word because I as you know, I write just, batshit fiction, but, I do find myself Googling like, how would you make a bomb in the apocalypse? Right? Things like that, which must be on several watch lists by now, as I'm sure you are. Yeah.
And it's gotten worse because the internet's gotten so much better about answering those questions quickly.
Yeah. So I don't, but I know they exist and I should, but I don't. I used to use Word. I'm a creature of habit. For the first time, actually, right now, I'm working on a collaborative project with my friend Dave. We are working on an idea for a kind of a horror podcast, storytelling podcast. And because he's in New York and I'm here, we're using Google Docs, which is basically Word, but in the cloud, obviously. So it's not very different. But even that to me feels like, oh, this is new and exciting. Like I'm using this wholly new program.
I've fully gone over to Scrivener when I'm working on my stuff, but I haven't. And it does have those options on there to. I think there's something called like isolation mode or something like that, but I've never used it. And like you, I probably should. I'd probably be better off if I did, but because
I'd have a
I'm to
thousand
the
books if
point
I did that.
I'm to the point now where I'll jump over to check something, fact check something, or get an answer, but I'm so easily distracted by the 27 other tabs I have open that
See, that's the
it's
thing. Yeah.
too long. Yeah.
Well, you know, our friend Jordan Quattlebaum, he has one of those devices. I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically like a digitized typewriter where it's a little
Mm.
computer with a little screen. Um, Gosh, can't remember the name of it, but he loves it because of that same exact reason. Like he can't be distracted by other things because he'll go down those rabbit holes, but he just sits there and he types. And when he writes, it's just there. And then he ports it onto his computer and it's, you know, it really works for him. And I think it would work for me too, but I think I would have less fun doing it because I like going down rabbit holes while I write.
Yeah. I mean, they lead to the next book and the next story and everything else. So um, I can't bring myself to turn it off. I probably should, but
Yeah.
it's too helpful, too handy.
Yeah.
Um,
Where
but
do
do
you
you
go for
find
spaces?
I do, you know, I think we talked about this last week. I don't have a door.
Yeah.
And you know, I got into the habit probably last year. I was especially when I was focused on like I will be finishing book 7 of you know, the Duck and Cover series. I would get up early and leave before just as the kids were out the door for school, and I would go to a coffee shop. And there's one here in town. I love it. Everyone's wonderful. They're all friends. So I had to start going elsewhere because I would start chatting with everybody and I would get nothing done.
Oh no, real life version of tabs on your browser.
Pretty much a tab would come walking through the door and I'd catch up and it was great. And they'd apologize or you're like working. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Let's chat. And I got nothing done. So I started branching out and I started moving out further to different cities around me. And I now have about 6 regular coffee shops that I'll go to.
What's your radius?
Um, 20 minutes.
All right.
Today there's a town probably about 20 minutes from here, and they've got it's the county seat. So there's the courthouse right in the old downtown, and right around that there's actually about 5 coffee shops. I like one. It's in the old train station. They've converted it into
That's
the
cool.
coffee shop. It's very cool. That's a good. I'll start there, and then there's one in like a gingerbread house that like a 2-story gingerbread house that has like a upstairs is the library, and I'll go sit in the library. And
Nice.
then that town actually, I'll move over to their library, which is like 150 years old or something like that.
Wow.
So it's a really cool old building and not very busy, and I'll go in and sit there and write as well. So um, I like the coffee shops. I'm addicted to coffee. And but yeah, it's good. It gets me out of this environment and somewhere different. But I do enjoy a lot of times. I don't plug in the headphones or whatever. I kind of enjoy being surrounded by people as long as they're not looking at my screen.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something about the quiet din of just people. It's
Yeah,
like a white noise that is really kind of, in some ways, very, for me at least, it gets me in the zone a little bit more than
that surprised me.
absolute
I mean,
silence.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll take the headphones, and if it gets distracting, I'll put them on. But a lot of times, I'll just leave them out and just enjoy the everybody being quiet together.
Yeah.
Um,
My version of coffee shops now that we're in the Shenandoah Valley is there's a lot of wineries around us.
mm.
And so I'll just go, and there's one actually like 3 minutes down the road from our house. I'll go to a winery and post up and have a couple of glasses of wine and drink, and like you can see the Blue Ridge Mountains. Like it's a really, you know, it. Not only are you enjoying a nice alcoholic beverage, which never really hurts the words from flowing, but the scenery is so great, and like the people here are really nice. So that's my coffee shop these days is wineries, which I don't it sound when you say it out loud, it sounds like a problem, but I don't think it is yet.
No, I wish we had something like that around here. It's that's yeah, that sounds like a nice alternative to it. Um, the other place I'll go is the library. We have our town here just got a brand new one, and it's man, it is. There's decks, there's patios, there's isolate, there's like rooms you can rent for a couple hours. There's kind of a glass office kind of thing, and it's
Eh.
I like again. It's that there are people here, but they're all being quiet. I really
Well,
do enjoy that.
in libraries, like we've started going back to libraries more recently because I have young children, so we spend a lot of time there now. In the last 5 years, we've been going to libraries a lot, and the programming is so cool there. The things they have there, like it's not the libraries that we went to when we were kids. Like they are, it's really an incredible space. And the new libraries I found, they're really building them to be like cool hangout spots. And there's one
Oh
that we
yeah,
went to in Aaron. My wife is from Southern California, and last time we were out visiting her family, went to this one. It's like it's not too far outside of LA, but it's in this like very well-to-do kind of neighborhood, and it's by Costa Mesa. And it was just cool. Like you walk in, and the whole building is like an art project. Like it's all the levels are accessible only by this giant spiraling ramp that goes up, and there's this giant tree growing up through it, and there's like stained glass. Like it's like beautiful. Like you're
it
riding in like
is.
this jungle, and the books are there, and like there's a coffee shop. It's just incredible.
They are incredible. The one they replaced was very old, and my kids grew up in the previous one, and they did an amazing job with what they had. But now that they've got this place, it's great. And yeah, there's a podcast studio, there's multimedia rooms, there's
Yeah,
like
they have like 3D
all
printers
sorts.
now. It's incredible.
Yeah, there's a maker lab. Yeah, there's a whole
Yeah,
maker's lab, and they're almost more like co-working spaces with books.
yeah.
But they're still you still have the access to the wonderful librarians and everything. So it's a great place to write as well. I know you did this just recently, so did I. Just this is and it's the cliche. And went out there, I did a post about it, just saying embrace the cliche, and that is the cabin,
The
the the
cabin,
the writer's cabin.
cabin. I love the idea of embracing the cliche. Just want to be out there. It's a cliche for a reason because it probably works. The aforementioned podcast project I'm working on with my friend Dave. So he came down from New York a few weeks ago, as he often does. He'll stay for 5 days or so. And we said this time when you come down, like let's just take one night, go get a cabin in the mountains, and we'll build a fire, we'll chat. And so we did, and I knew it was going to be great. It was so much better than I even expected. I mean, just the idea of getting out to a super secluded space, and this could be a national dark zone space. Like there was just nothing around it. Really cool cabin, great little fire pit outside, and we just lit a fire and we spent hours out there just bashing around story ideas, and, taking very badly scrawled notes because there's no light and we're trying to write in our notebooks. But it was great. Like there's something about the isolation, but also there's something, I don't know, this is going to sound so stupid, but there's something so primally human about sitting outside with a friend near a fire and in the dark, and like ideas just flow differently. I don't know what it is, but it just feels like we like just chatting about like how we could take this first season of this podcast, this storyline. It was almost like we hit this weird flow state where we were just like suddenly like super in sync. And I don't know how to explain it, but there's something really, really human about being in that sort of spot. So yeah, it's a big cliche, but it's a great cliche, and we should embrace it. And I want to go there every weekend for the rest of my life.
I think that's secretly what I'm working towards. Like, hopefully, I can sell enough books to have a cabin I can go write at.
I'm saying people are like, if I sell enough books, I can get a mansion or I can get a yacht. I'm like, I just want a cabin in the mountains.
Yeah, I want a place to get away. We used to go out to the Smokies quite a bit. I enjoyed writing out there, and then we've got not. It's a few hours from here. We can hit southern Oklahoma's got an area with some kind of cabins, and every now and then we'll go up there for a couple days, and I'll just find a spot and write. And I think it is. It's the. I mean, even though we're not roughing it. It's the town around it's blowing up, and there's definitely internet and all that, but it's almost the physical equivalent of isolation mode, I think, is what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
you're on vacation to a certain extent. You're away from everything. Yeah, and then once the fire's on, it just becomes this it is. It's a flow state. You get focused. I think once you focus on the flames, you start focusing on everything else.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Fire is a big component in a lot of kind of ancient rituals, right? Which for a good reason, it does focus you. And you're right. It's the idea of kind of the the real world incognito mode, which is even though we had Wi-Fi the whole time in this cabin, really surprisingly good Wi-Fi. Just the fact that you're in that space that feels so different puts
Yeah.
your mental space in a different place. Like I'm not checking my work email there, which I do obsessively, but in that place, it's like this is not the place to check work email. It's too different than that. It's a bit of
It's
magic.
funny you say that because I remember when I was first writing, I was trying to get out of the day job. Like that was, it was always my goal to write for a living, but like when I got serious about it, it was like I don't want to be in this office anymore. And it was really easy to kind of go home and pound out words and just try and make that escape. And then we would go on vacation to the mountains and I'd be like, I'm going to get so much written. And I'd be sitting there on the patio looking at the Smoky Mountains going, I'm not trying to escape this. This is great. But yeah,
Yeah,
ever since making that transition, it's definitely the something about the woods too. I don't know, like wherever we when we go, it's different enough. It's far enough north from here that the geography kind of changes. The
yeah,
trees are different, the landscape's a little different, so it does feel like a different place for sure.
yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on other writing spaces. Is there any other place that you can surprise us with that you've written?
Now that you set me up for that, I wish I could. Not really. I mean, I've written in all sorts of wild places. I'm sure you have, just out of necessity. Like I have an idea, I'm going to write it down. But in terms of like actual productivity, it's just nice to be comfortable and to know what works for you. That's the most important thing. If it's coffee, if it's wine, if it's a cabin. But I honestly I do a lot of really great writing in my office here in my house if I'm in the headspace. So for me, I think it's really more about like where am I going to feel mentally clear enough to just really get some good writing done today, and that can be home. But sometimes it also involves wine or fires.
Well, that's awesome. But I'd be curious to hear from anyone where they like writing. I'm sure there's lots of places. Hotel lobbies is a good place sometimes. The looking at American literature, the bar. There's got to be a good, quiet, well lighted place somewhere where someone's written a book.
There is man. One of the things I miss most about Chicago. There's a great bar called the Galway Arms. It's this very Irish bar, as you could guess from the name, and it's this old house that was turned into this Irish pub. And there's like always a fire burning in the fireplace, even if it's 100 degrees outside. And it's just like the rooms of the house are still there, and so there's like all these nooks and crannies, and you go and like the bartenders are Irish, and they are very just like chill and relaxed, and they'll just they'll pour you. It's a great place to write, and I haven't yet found that place in my little hovel in Virginia here. So
Yeah, that
bars can
sounds
be very
perfect.
good.
That sounds perfect and very specific. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure you'll find it. But that's great. Cool, man. Yeah, I like this talking about writing spaces. I think it's really interesting. I've always been fascinated by it, and I like looking at images of other writers' spaces and everything. I'm interested to dig into it further as we go forward with different conversations about it.